Polytechnic University. And today I'm going to talk about my recent research on the representation of China as a nation in the Hong Kong press during the last 20 years or so. So I believe some of you may know, all this complicated relation between Hong Kong and the Chinese mainland after the return of sovereignty to the Hong Kong sovereignty to China. So in this context, we will say how the political changes in Hong Kong and all the kind of ideological changes and all the contradictory ideologies between China and the West, UK and US, is reflected in the Hong Kong media. So because of the time limit, I will just focus on my findings. So this is basically the background. One thing I would highlight is the complexity, that is the two extremes of the sentiments towards China. One is the pro-China sentiment, and the other is the anti-China sentiment. And as time passes by, these two extremes are getting more and more polarized. Okay, and it seems now difficult to maintain a middle ground. It's difficult to be neutral. Okay, and the newspapers I'm looking at are the three main leading Chinese language newspapers. So there are many studies about English language newspaper. So I will look at the Chinese newspaper, which is read by most of the people in Hong Kong. So one is the anti-China Apple Daily, and the other is the pro-China Oriental Daily News. And then the middle one is the more neutral, kind of liberal newspaper. So we'll look at the change of their stance. So we divide this 23 years since handover, since return to Chinese sovereignty in 1997, in four phases. So the first phase, China did not openly intervene. And the second phase is kind of active intervention. And then the third phase is characterized by local orientation. And then the fourth phase is polarization in the society and the media. So the method we used is a sentiment analysis. I'm not going to explain this method. I'm sure many of you will know this is an automatic method of analyzing attitudes and subjectivity. It's based on a machine learning-based approach, but also combined with a semantic-based analysis to get a more nuanced understanding of the attitudes. And we also combine this with the critical discourse analysis to interpret our findings. Okay, so we got this four subcorpora containing the keywords like China, Chinese, or mainland, and Beijing, and so on. Okay, and then we use this sentiment word dictionary to decide on the sentiments. So I will now, this is the procedure to measure the sentiment score, the subjectivity, intensity of attitude, and polarity. So basically it's about how they are becoming more subjective, the attitudes are becoming more intense, and the attitudes are becoming more polarized, that is becoming more negative or positive. So this is the overall attitudes, and we can say that generally it's more positive than negative, but that does not mean that all the newspapers are positive. And what is also interesting, I'll just highlight some of the most striking kind of findings. First of all is that the sentiments on China has gotten more negative over time, and this is contradictory to what people have speculated that with the control increasing in Hong Kong, then the media representation of China must be becoming more positive. Actually, this is not the case. Okay, and then second is the gradual polarization of sentiments towards China. As I just mentioned, it's becoming either very positive or very negative. It's difficult to maintain neutral anymore. It's like this is kind of echoing the international polarization, I think, in politics in Western, across the world, right? Okay, and just very quickly about the specific newspapers, we can say Apple Daily is becoming increasingly negative over the past 23 years, and the attitude is becoming more subjective. So they are more attitudinal in a way, not kind of objective as they should have been, and they are becoming more and more negative. Okay, and yeah, and then going to MIMPO, that is the neutral one. So we can say it is also becoming more subjective. Okay, and the intensity of its attitudes has increased dramatically. So basically, all newspapers are getting more subjective, more attitudinal. And then third, Oriental Daily News is we can say it is more stable because it has been positive all the way. So there's not so much changes, and the subjectivity actually kind of decreased. It becomes more objective in its pro-China reporting. That's a very interesting strategy. So now I want to just highlight the overall findings. We can say the kind of changes Apple Daily regarded China as the other, okay, as a negative other, and Oriental Daily News represented China as us, as one of us. Okay, and then MIMPO is kind of between us and them. So that reflects my title. That is, it's neither us or them. It's somewhere in between. So then that kind of sheds light on the critical discourse analysis framework of us and them. Okay, in the sense that you know, in the theory, it was proposed that you know, a media is either us or them. But in Hong Kong, in this very special context, is both us and them, okay, in different media. Okay, and at the same time, so we say us and them may not be dichotomy, may not be a dichotomy, but a continuum. Okay, that is somewhere between us and them, and also moving from them to us. Okay, so it's a very kind of a dynamic process. It's not a static dichotomy. Okay, and then so this is moving from them to us. And second, newspapers can also have an ambivalent stance between us and them. So it's somewhere between us and them. On some issues, it's us, and on some other issues, it's them. Okay, and then us and them and states between them are multidimensional and can coexist in a region or even in one newspaper. Okay, so this multidimensional continuum provides new opportunities for critical discourse studies researchers to capture the complexity of ideological stances in media. That is, it's not simply you know, black and white, or you know, either A or B. Okay, it's actually more complex, multidimensional and dynamic, and you know, all this different, variegated and changing. Okay, so that is I think that is the end of my presentation. But of course, I need to highlight that sentiment analysis can only capture the very explicit attitude and lexis. And you know, in newspaper, emotions may not be expressed explicitly. So that part of analysis should be done in a more qualitative way, which is also what we are doing in the okay. So that is all. Thank you. And I think should have my email here.
Okay, my name is Abdulmajid Mustafa, refugee student from Sangania University. I'm here to present a paper of artificial intelligence in business transformation, but specifically I'm going to talk about a Nigerian case study. Because in Nigerian case study, in the presentation, I have some summaries which I have to do at least. Number one, introduction of artificial intelligence, role of artificial intelligence in business transformation, then factors and challenges, the growth of e-commerce in Nigeria specifically, and then business alignment, digital transformation in Nigeria. Like, first of all, if I said Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and the sixth most populous country in the world. And in Nigeria, Nigeria is the richest economic country in Africa, which in the world is around like 12th economic country in the world. But unfortunately, as now in this era of 21st century, in Nigeria, still of all these AIs that is going around the world, but we are facing some difficulties for some of Nigerians to get access of the progress of this century. But sometimes all these issues used to come because of some problems we are getting, like from the government, from the citizens, and also from some of neighboring countries which are not ready to help some African countries in these issues. That's why that I can say that most of the time, Nigeria have good relationship with China and India in terms of all our factories and industries. If you go major of the workers and the infrastructure that's going on in Nigeria is owned by the Chinese companies and the Indians company. But still, even though all these people have been in Nigeria sometimes for very quite long time, but sometimes they are just there based on the project that they went to go for the infrastructure. They are not looking into deep in technology, which I'm sorry to say that till now in Nigeria, we cannot say that we didn't have a strong app, but I can make it the way that we didn't have any strong app where all members of the countries, can have access of that app to go and order something online, which that thing will reach them smoothly to their locations. Because the issues we are facing in all that thing is that, number one, even the government in Nigeria has major of insecurity is the number one issues we have. First of all, before you reach of the insecurity, even the data availability, that means the internet in Nigeria is very, very much expensive, to the rather that it's not anybody that have, that access to get buy that. Like in Nigeria, let me say that 1 GB data, it's almost equivalent to like $1, which is still in Nigeria, we have minimum wage of salary of less than $50 till now, or $50 you can call it. So that is why some people didn't have accessibility of their mobiles phones and data so that they can operate all that. And that is why it's still now we are only in the era of sectors of business. Nigeria had very mindset of business, as Nigeria has this number of populations. If the investors, and other companies have get attractive of the population we have, it's a very good country for the investors to go there. But the problem we are facing, number one, is these network issues. Number two is the issues of even electricity. And number three, the issues of trust. You cannot say the issues of trust, you can call it, because it's the lack of the technology, that's what bring all that. It's like lack of the trust, okay, you can say it. Like in a payment gateway, everybody in Nigeria, if you are trying to purchase something online and you see that you have to put your card details so that payment gateway will deduct that money from your account, everybody will be afraid from that time, from that app, because you will be thinking that it's just a fraud in this app. So in all that era of all this thing that is happening, we are trying, but unfortunately still in Nigeria, if they see something, we tell them, okay, this thing came from China, this thing came from India, they have much more trust. Because see, all the apps we like in Nigeria, we have Uber company, which are using to book cabs, but that Uber company is not developed by Nigerian people. So whatever any have developed that came from Nigeria, all the people we are not satisfied all that. So that is why in all this era of this, we are trying to see how you can improve the Nigerian economy to the AI in business sector. So now we have a lot of project on that. After this paper, we have started discussion maybe with some companies in India. We have to study whether which Nigerian people have the access of that application of India in India, which somebody can order a thing directly from India, then it comes through third party. But as far as that, Nigerian people know that, okay, our money is not going to this place, it's going direct to that country. So yes, they may have some peace of mind and agree that, yes, we are ready to do that. And at that point, they have to see some physical things, which Nigeria is our own country. So we know all the errors, we know how the formalities will be, to change that their mindset so that they will understand that it's not everybody is there for teacher or something like that. So that is why in this apps we are going to use of honor, even that issues of internet, and still you have the issues of logistics and all that. But I'm saying that the major factors we have is to One is that internet availability. The second one is the electricity, because the internet availability is not that internet is there, but you have to spend a lot of money for you to get access of the internet. So that is the most of the challenges we are getting. So we are trying now to see how you can communicate, and combat all the data, the communications, the buyers, the sellers at the same place, so that they will let them know that, no, this is the advantage, this is what will bring. Like now, if you invited that company from India, government will generate a revenue from that company, and also the citizens of the country will get something, cheaper than they, because these goods will come through sea, through containers, so a lot of reduction is there from the money. So the people will be more satisfied, and even government, as far as government notice that, okay, it is benefit for me, for them to get a revenue from that aspect. So they will be easily, check that aspect and do it. So like that is mainly what is going on in Nigeria. And that is what the improvement we wanted to. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Faniraj. I'm currently pursuing my undergraduate degree in KL University. From the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And these are my teammates, Nukula Naga Rupasri and Arun Kumba. And we are done with this research with the guidance of our professors, Dr. T. Vignesh and Dr. T. Pravin Sharma, sir. And today our topic is identification and text correction using NLP, where the NLP refers to natural language processing. So, what are the term NLP first refers? It's natural language processing, and it's a branch of artificial intelligence or AI. Why do we use it? So, concerned with giving computers the ability to understand the text and the spoken words in much the same way as the humans do. So, this NLP combines the computational linguistics role based modeling of human language with some statistical and machine learning and deep learning models. Together, these technologies enables computers to process human language in the form of words or voice data and to understand its full meaning, complete with the speaker or the writer's intent and sentiment. And what are the actual tasks of the NLP? So the tasks of the NLP are the speech recognition, parts of speech tagging, word sense disambiguation, named entity recognition, code reference solution, sentiment analysis, and natural language generations. Following are the tasks of the NLP. So let's go on with the NLP tools and approaches. So famous NLP tools are the Natural Language Toolkit, which includes libraries for tasks like segmentation, stemming, lemmatization, and tokenization, where the lemmatization means of method of trimming words down to their roots, and the tokenization refers to breaking phrases, sentences, paragraphs, and passages into tokens that help the computer better to understand the text. So it includes the libraries for implementing capabilities such as semantic reasoning, where the semantic reasoning comes with the actual expression or the meaning that user want to tell to the computer by his text or the word synchronization. The ability to reach logical conclusions based on facts extracted from the text. So the other best tool is TensorFlow and PyTorch, where we use these in the deep learning frameworks are widely used for building neural network models for natural language processing tasks. These offer a wide range of flexibility and scalability for tasks like classification of the text and sentiment analysis, which is the most important thing in the NLP for a computer to understand the user's meaning or the word expression, and machine translations and many more things. And the WordNet. This is a lexical database that provides a semantic relationship between the words. It offers features like synonym and antonym identification, in the given text, with the hypernym and hypernym relationships, and more. The WordNet is often used for tasks like word sense disambiguation and semantic similarity. The disambiguation occurs when there is an ambiguation in the words, where one type of word is used for many times, then the actual meaning of the word and the actual use of the word will be based on the other part of the test, which can be analyzed by this WordNet. So the actual NLP applications are firstly the core applications, the test classification, information extraction, conversational agent, information retrieval, question answering systems. These are the core applications which we widely use among this generation computers. And the general app applications are for spam classification, where this spam classification can be used in the emails, where where the model concludes whether the given the received mail is a threatened or a normal one, and can classify into the junk or spam mails. And the calendar event extraction, personal assistance, search engines. As we know, search engines like Google, Firefox, and many things. So the actual test can be recognized when the meaning of the test is analysis. So this can be done by the NLP. And the industry-specific applications are social media analysis. Widely we use the social media. The social media analysis can be done in the given comments, which can be scanned by the computer, and whether it's harmful for the community, it can block the perfect user basing on the sentiment analysis, where which can be used to protect the social media community. And the other is like health record analysis, financial analysis, and legal entity extractions. So these are the wide applications of the NLP. So let's go to the drawbacks in the NLP. So the drawbacks in the NLP are ambiguity, where I discussed before, the single word can have many antonyms or synonyms. So this can be a drawback in NLP. And data limitations, where it can be a very big drawback. Limiting a data to a specific size or specific word count can be a major drawback. And lack of contextual understanding, out of domain challenges, dependency on pre-training, bias and fairness, lack of explainability, multilingual challenges, adversarial attacks. We're coming to the multilingual challenges. The conversion of text from one language to another language. This can be done by a human mind in a very perfect way, but coming to the computer or NLP, this still has a drawback where it cannot change the exact meaning of the text in one language to other language. So let's move on to what my research does actually. So my research paper explores the use of various algorithms and techniques in the natural language processing for locating and correcting faults in the written material. So the algorithm discussed in the paper include rule-based methods, statistical methods, and also the machine learning methods, particularly neural networks. So coming to the rule-based algorithms, these algorithms utilize predefined linguistic rules to identify and correct errors in written language. So these rule-based approaches rely on specific patterns or the grammar rules. So actually, we know the grammar rules that can be predefined to the computer to detect the issues and to suggest the corrections. So they can be effective for handling well-defined error patterns, but they may struggle with the complex language structures. But the basic language patterns, they can be specific. So statistical algorithms. So coming to the statistical methods in the natural language processing, this involve probabilistic models and learn patterns and relationships from the large data sets. Where before we discussed about the data limitations, where this can be overcome by these large data sets intake. These models can be trained on annotated text corpora to estimate the likelihood of certain words or phrases occurring in the very specific context. So these statistical algorithms such as n-gram models or hidden marker models can be used for tasks like language modeling, parts of speech tagging, and named entity recognition. So coming on to the machine learning algorithms, these machine learning algorithms have been popular nowadays. Whereas coming to the natural language processing, we use some classifications using the supervised learning algorithms, where all of us know what is supervised, unsupervised, and semi-supervised. So we used support vector machines for the classifications and also the decision trees and neural networks. This can be trained using the label data to detect and correct errors in the written text, as it is a supervised learning. These algorithms can capture the language, the patterns, the text, the context dependencies, making them effective for the various NLP tasks. So overall, what my paper highlights is the importance of the continuous research and development in the natural language processing. And we know there's no specific and accurate 100% algorithm coming to this natural language processing. So reaching to the maximum is the main context of this research. So what I want to conclude is from my research paper, natural language processing techniques, particularly machine learning algorithms such as neural networks, are highly effective in locating the correcting faults in written material composed in natural language. So what we used to highlight is the importance of combining multiple approaches, including rule-based or statistical or the machine learning methods, to enhance the accuracy and reliability of our natural language processing systems. So our results supports the use of machine learning algorithms, particularly neural networks, as a most effective strategy. By combining different methodologies and continuously investing in research and development, these NLP systems can enhance their accuracy, reliability, and the applicability across the various domains. And I think I'm over. And thank you for giving me this.
Everybody. Hopefully you can see the presentation. I will try to go to full presentation. Please let me know if it does this or not. Can you see the full presentation or no?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is sort of a follow. This is very connected to the previous presentation. Dr. Iakovoglu focused on Greece. What I will try to do is briefly try to give the highlights of all partners and all the research we have been doing in order to reduce non-point source pollutants in litter. I'm the project coordinator, and I am from the International Hellenic University. So sort of a roadmap. I will start with some background information about the area. What are the pilot areas, the partners, what nature-based solutions, and again, just some research highlights from all partners and what our main conclusions are. So this is the Black Sea area. It's an enclosed sea, and that's a problem because that means there's not a lot of circulation. This means that if you get polluted, it's very difficult to depollute. That's why we focus on this area. In addition, this is research that some other people have done, and they found based on this protocol, which is called BEAST, the Black Sea Eutrophication Assessment Tool, that most areas are red, orange, and yellow, which means that the water quality is not very good. So based on this background information, we decided and we submitted a proposal for the Interreg Black Sea program in order to find better ways to reduce pollutant and litter in the Black Sea. And because typically we focus on the coastline, we decided that we need to focus on the watershed that end up in the Black Sea. So this is another image that you already saw from Dr. Iakovoglu's presentation, but these are the 5 watersheds we focused on. We found 5 different watersheds and streams. For example, Engiti is a typical Mediterranean, Siriu is a lake, Baltata is a lowland agricultural area, Debet River is more of an inland, and Arhavi is very steep in Turkey. We also have different types of partners. We have 2 universities. one water authority and two NGOs, because we wanted results that are science-based but are also very applicable. We focus on nature-based solutions. This is a new trend. These are solutions that can protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural and modified ecosystems. And we want to address different societal challenges and also provide for human well-being and biodiversity benefits. This is very difficult because it's complicated. So here's a simple example. This is an area that used to be, grazed. We took out the grazing, we planted some trees, and this is the results 5 years later, day and night. And here's another view, aerial view. So this area that used to get flooded, didn't produce very much, now offers many services, either for habitat for wildlife, for flood protection, for recharging aquifers. So these are solutions that we mimic what happens in nature, and this is what we're trying to do. So now, because I have to present for 5 different countries the results, we will start with these. So in order to better understand erosional processes, we took different drone flights and we took them after, for example, events. And what we tried to see is if we had erosion or we had deposition. So in this case, you can see some areas in red had net gain. So we had deposition in these areas, while in the others we had erosion. So this allows us now to understand the geomorphology. In the second image, what we're doing is actually trying to find a stream flow where there's more stream flows, velocity, and actually try to see the flow. And we're also trying to look at the bottom. So in this case, this research has already been published in the journal Hydrology. So if you want to find out more about this, here is the publication. Some more highlights from Greece is we ran the SWOT model because this way we can understand the hydrologic cycle. We wanted to know how much water is being infiltrated, how much evaporated, how much is runoff, etc. So we ran the SWOT model and we had very good results because now we can understand what is going on. And we're also looking at what potentially climate change would have for that. Now moving on to Romania, their focus was a lot on microplastics. This is becoming a big problem because it gets into the fish, it gets into the food, it actually ends up in the humans. So they had a number of different sites and they investigated microplastics both in water samples, but also in the soil. And unfortunately, we're seeing that there's a lot of microplastics and these differ depending on your location. So this gave us an idea on where there's a lot of plastics, where we might need to do some efforts in order to stop plastics from entering the stream. Moving on to Moldova, they did some really nice research by finding areas that have more erosion. For example, in the first case, they highlighted areas where we have more stream bank erosion. Why is this important? Because there's not a limited amount of money. These are the areas where you need to go and put your nature-based solutions. So you don't have to do it all the stream. You just have to do it in the areas that contribute with most of the sediment. The other one, they found out where their most surface erosion is. So what does this tell us? Okay, we need to go through these areas that are red and try to do some measures. So we do a targeted approach in order to mitigate again soil erosion. Moving on to Turkey, they had runoff plots, really huge runoff plots, and they collected these samples. They did this for about 2 years, and here are the results. We had these in different land use practices, and they found big differences. For example, they found we had a lot more runoff in hazelnut gardens and grasslands than in the highland and lowland forests. So this gives us an indication what measures we need to take. Of course, it's interesting that they found different sediment losses. For example, in the grassland, we did not have a lot of sediment loss, but we did have more despite less water in the forest. So this is information on how to manage problem. Of course, we also had in the hazelnut a lot of erosion. So again, what we're doing is with different tools trying to assess what is going on. They also looked at what's going on in the stream. So they do, this is a stream channel, and they did these stream profiles. So they found out through time that the stream has changed. And this is something that happens naturally, but we need to be aware in order to be able to manage this. For example, In this case, in 2011, we had this deposition area, which was eroded. In contrast, this area had deposition. So through time, you can see where you're having erosion, where you're having deposition in order to understand what needs to be done. Finally, we also looked at landslides, and in this case, we looked at landslides in three different countries, Romania, Greece, and Turkey. And what we tried to do there is, for example, we flew through the drone, and then we found the areas which have cracks, or we have areas that are more susceptible. So this was done in three different areas. The first one is in Greece, second in Romania, and third in Turkey. And we found very good results that give us an idea on how to, for example, assess when a landslide will happen or what are the best measures. Again, this work has been published. So this has been published in Remote Sensing. If you want to find out more information, this is the paper. Finally, we also wanted to do some practical tools. So we said, what are we trying to focus on? On reducing litter or plastic. So we are trying different types of litter traps. For example, this one is in the Moldova. They try with this scheme to collect all the litter in here and then remove it for the stream. And this is another type of a litter trap that they're using in Turkey. In Romania, they took it a step further. They developed this skimmer vessel. And because they have this huge lake and people go and visit, and then they don't take their garbage with them, they just throw them and they end up in the stream. So they have this skimmer vessel and they go around the lake to collect and reduce all these plastics that are there. So what are the end results for me? First of all, I think it's very good when you have an excellent partnership. We had partners that, although we were doing symmetrical things in all countries, we were able all to do them efficiently in many ways. We also reached many target groups. I did something that I didn't present, many awareness events, workshops to reach different target groups. For example, here you can see in this photo, in the bottom photo here, we went with students to collect garbage. We believe that in order to reduce many problems, for example, pollution, the people need to understand what are the problems. We also believe we have a better understanding on what the pollutants are on the Black Sea. And we're using innovative monitoring tools. As you see, we use hydrologic models, we're using drones, and we're also using nature-based solutions. Overall, we strongly believe that if more countries start implementing some of these techniques that we are suggesting, overall there will be a better reduction in the Black Sea. Black Sea right now is considered one of the most degraded regional seas, so we believe these measures will be able to help. Because the ultimate goal is to have clean water resources for everybody. So if you're interested to find out more about our project, we have social medias, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. At the YouTube, we have very nice videos. We also have a project website. We'd like to thank very much the Joint Operational Black Sea Basin Project, which funded this project. This is the second project we've had with them. And then I'd like to thank you all very much for attending. Hopefully you learned something, and hopefully I wasn't too technical and too tiresome. Again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present.